Zone project with community partners to help build a healthier community through education and action. As president of the Kids Zone Community Foundation, our recipient has coordinated the Kids Dash so children can have fun while participating in outdoor activities. He is also a boat builder and was the first place winner 6 times from 1986 to 2005. He built a mean float. Please help me. Yes. Please help me thank and welcome this year's Vocational Service Award recipient, Dr. Richard Cohen. He always encourages me to call him Dick, but I just have this thing about to me, he's always Dr. Cohen. I don't know. I have tremendous respect for this gentleman. Thank you. There's your plaque. You can show there.
Thank you. One of my favorite lines is from Henry J. Kaiser, who said, "When your work speaks for itself, don't interrupt." However, if that were truly the case, Rotarians would have the quietest meetings in the country. I like to think of myself as being unable to do anything poorly. Basically, I do nothing poorly, and that's why I've been so active. I accept the honor, but basically it's for the accomplishments of many people with whom I've been lucky enough to associate with. Sorry about the grammar. In particular, my wife, Sue, who's the really real community activist, and also Mike Wheatley, who was my junior resident when I was a med student and my chief resident when I was a junior resident. And he recruited me to come to Grants Pass because I was the only person in the residency program who understood his sense of humor. It's interesting, I'm receiving this award in the same month that I retired from Kids Zone Community Foundation presidency. I was apparently supposed to be the president for life, and they've changed. Kids Zone is no longer at Club Northwest. They've changed the name. So I think I'm going to be the only president of the Kids Zone Community Foundation. Just so you know, we're still recruiting for volunteers in the Kids Dash, which will this year be on June 1st. If any of you admit to or know anyone who has an inflatable T-Rex costume, the T-Rex Rumble will be returning this year. And the website is up and running and you can sign up. We had a great time with that last year and we're looking forward to doing that again. Also, the human race is returning this year and we need volunteers for that to spray kids with hypoallergenic, water-soluble face paint. One sad note is that this year we will not be joined by Froggle Fair. It's been a Grants Pass institution since 1975, excuse me, and they have lost their sponsor. Misty King is leaving town, and Project Youth Plus, which had picked up the Froggle Fair from AAUW, does not want to continue it. So maybe that's a new project for Rotary. Thank you very much. I want to talk to your new members because if you're from New York, you know good rye bread. And one of the things I learned to do when I retired was make rye bread. Thanks again.
One more thing that I learned about Dick Cohen is I believe he has 2 separate homes. where he lives, and then also Club Northwest. I've never seen anyone there as often as I've seen Dick Cohen. Anyway, congratulations, Dick, and thanks for coming. Okay, Judy Basker, would you like to introduce our guest speaker today?
Hi, everybody. I'm excited today to introduce our Chief of Police, Warren Hensman. And you learn so much about someone when you request a biography, and you may or may not know this. He grew up in Dublin, Ireland, and graduated from O'Connell Secondary School in 1989. And I know this is not about me, but I'm 51% Irish. Surprise? He later earned an associate degree in criminal justice from the Community College of Southern Nevada, a bachelor's degree in public administration from Nevada State College, master's degree in justice management from the University of Nevada at Reno. He's a graduate of the Oregon Executive Leadership Institute and the Police Executive Research Forum's Senior Management Institute for Police, and holds an executive certification with the Oregon Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. His professional career began in 1990 when he enlisted in the United States Air Force. After 8 years of military service, he began his policing career, spending the last 25 years serving 4 police agencies and in a variety of roles: the Alpharetta Police Department, which is an Atlanta, Georgia suburb, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, the Ashland Police, and we are very fortunate that he has now landed in Grants Pass. And I think he has a really hard job and a really busy schedule, so we're super happy to welcome him.
Thank you very much for having me here today, and I'm humbled, frankly, and I quite enjoy getting out and speaking to the community, and I feel like I've not been out as much as I need to be lately, because I think we've been kind of busy. We got a lot going on. But also, when you listen to somebody read your bio, I should be sitting down there. I need to retire. Counselor, don't tell anybody I said that. But again, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak today. And it's really more of an update to kind of share what's going on with our police department. And when I speak to groups, I really enjoy having a chat, having a conversation. So if there's any questions that hit you as we go through this just conversation presentation piece, just raise a hand or throw something at me and ask the question, and we'll go from there. I've been a chief here for 5 years, and I've been in policing for quite a while. So I haven't been thrown too many curveballs. I don't think, until today. So I'm just waiting for that one. But no, anything that's on your mind, I'm happy to answer it. I believe in being incredibly transparent. And I'm sincere when I say that. We're not perfect at the Grants Pass Police Department, but we're pretty darn good. And we hold ourselves accountable, and we hold ourselves to a really high standard. And we sincerely believe that we're a best practice organization. I often chuckle at my colleagues, and I often say from the north, and that would be Eugene and Salem and Portland, and hopefully there's not too many people from the north right now, but a lot of them think that they're doing it right up there, and for the most part they are. But Southern Oregon law enforcement, specifically the Grants Pass Police Department, we've got a really good thing going. We do a fantastic job. If you break the law in Grants Pass, for the most part, we're coming to get you. And we're gonna be tenacious as all get out, and we're gonna be firm, but we're also gonna be fair, because it's important to treat every single person in our community with dignity, period. And policing sometimes gets a bad rap. Sometimes it's well-deserved rap, I will admit that. But by far, the majority of law enforcement professionals, and specifically here in GP, we just don't put up with it. If we have a bad day, we hold one another accountable, and we sincerely believe in treating people with respect and that dignity piece. Because if you don't treat each other with respect, specifically where you work and your community, you lack the belonging piece. And it's very important to me and our team to make sure that everybody belongs, because the uniform in and of itself is a big enough barrier to people, because a lot of people frankly are intimidated by the police. And I still get a little bit concerned when I see a Oregon State police car behind me, or even one of my own guys. I'm like, oh God, they're coming to get me. It's normal. I passed the background multiple times, so I promise I'm good. But it's important that our community feel comfortable walking into the Grants Pass Police Department, because we deal with a wide variety of violations all the way to homicides. So we're super busy. But I just wanted to share for some of you all that may not know, and I've got some cheat sheets here, but I want to make sure you all know what you have here in Grants Pass. We're blessed here in Grants Pass. We're so fortunate to have the men and women working at that police department that we do, because GP is on an island, legitimately, not geographically, but as far as policing services. I love our sheriff's department and I love our colleagues to the north and to the south. But really, at the end of the day, when you all need help, you call the Grants Pass Police Department, and we're there 24/7. The sheriff's office are not there 24/7. And we all know why. We all know that they're struggling and dealing with a lot of different financial hurdles that they are working really hard to overcome. And the Oregon State Police, they go off duty actually pretty early. So in the wee hours of the morning, the only folks you have out there protecting and serving are the Grants Pass Police Department. And I'm super proud of the team for giving it their all. I mentioned at the beginning, we're not perfect, but we really work hard to get out there in the wee hours of the morning and look at it for business owners that are here, just to kind of help police the alleyways and help police the businesses and help try to thwart crime when there's nobody around. But there's only 5, maybe 6 cops that are patrolling the city at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we can't be everywhere, and we're going to miss a lot of things. But I just wanted to share with you what is built of our department. Full patrol team. Yes, ma'am. It's 5 cars, and we just do one officer per car. Not always. Sometimes we'll mix it up a little bit, and we might ride a 2-person car, or we might have 7 or 8 folks on duty. And that, yeah, even during the day. During the day, you typically will feel like there's a greater presence because you'll have detectives, you'll have administration. So for example, if something foul were to happen right now, you would see this onslaught of about 15 people with lots of different style cars supporting that particular mission. But at night, they only have themselves. So if Josephine County Sheriff's off duty and the OSP is off duty, it's just them by themselves to kind of manage it. And we need to get better at that because it's a major problem. I frankly worry quite a bit about our team. And I'll even share, last night was one of them. We have a lot going on. You can probably see this flush look on my face. Policing's not conducive to sleeping, so I can't wait to be in some of your all's shoes so I can enjoy maybe a little bit of downtime. But in fairness, I love it here, and I've got a lot to accomplish still. I have a lot on my list, a lot on our action plan, our strategic plan. So we've got a long way to go before I would even feel comfortable thinking about going someplace else. But to answer that, we have a full complement of patrol, a full complement of detectives. We've got canine officers, school resource officers, school marshals, community response team, our RAID drug task force, that's the Rogue Area Drug Investigations team, enforcement team. We have a SWAT team, believe it or not, negotiations team, property and evidence, community service officers, police, cadets, parking enforcement. We are the 911 public safety answering point, so dispatch, record specialists, call takers, and a partridge in a pear tree. There's a lot going on. And we do this with 94 full-time employees. And then in total, we have about 110 bodies. So that would be, the rest would be on-call, part-time type people that support positions like our community service officers or the dispatch center, or the record center, things like that. So full complement there. I'm going to get to kind of the update, because we talked about give an update on where we're at the police department. So I'll give a bit more of a defined update when we get to the end, but I wanted to give you a little kind of history on what's going on. And it's easier to talk about police officers than kind of muddling up the numbers. So when I arrived here in February of 2019, I was authorized 58 police officers, so 58 cops on the street. I was going really well. Our team were vibrant, busy, engaged, and then it started to kind of maybe decline a little bit. George Floyd, issues within the United States, police officers deciding, I may not want to be a cop anymore. I might want to go back to school or go work for mom and dad. And in fact, just the other day, one of my guys walked in and gave me his notice. And it's a senior police officer that's going someplace else that's not policing. And when I was coming up in the ranks, that was just unheard of. You came in, you hit your 10 years and you're stuck. You want to get your pension, right? So you're going to work all the way through. But now people are saying, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go do something else. Because here at the Grants Pass Police Department, because of our staffing levels, we are currently working with 56 police officers, our authorized strength. So when I got here in 2019, I was allowed to have 58, but today I'm only allowed to have 56. And I see my counselor in the background there, so I'm going to always be respectful of the council. Of course, you know that. But I've said this a million times. I said it to the council. I've said it to the city manager. We need more cops. We need more support, and we need it for a lot of different reasons that I could go on and on and on about. But one of the most fundamental reasons when you operate any organization that's 24/7, people need time off. People have protected leave. But in my profession, people get hurt. We get into fights, unfortunately, too often. We get into vehicle pursuits. And I hate to say this, but I've lived through 5 officer-involved shootings since I've been here in Grants Pass. That's ridiculous. We've got 40,000 people. We had 2 officer-involved shootings in 2023. And when I talk about the staffing levels, you can only imagine what the shooting officer has to go through, because we scrutinize the heck out of them. I hate to say it, but we have to. We absolutely have to treat an officer the exact same way as we treat anybody else. And the officer-involved shooting we were in back in December, those officers are still out, along with other officers that decide to have babies. I'm like, really? Do you have to have babies at my time? Do that in your own time. So, but I'm being tongue in cheek, but life happens. So I have folks out on FMLA. I have folks out on light duty because we get in fights. I've got folks out on mandatory leave because we get involved in shootings. And when you do the math, those 56 or even 58 cops whittles all the way down to about 45, 46, 47. I'm actually going to be speaking to the council and the community tonight during a listening session. So I'll talk a little bit about this, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions that I'll be able to answer. With that said, we actually did a study back in 2013, and this is public knowledge. And back in 2013, we had a population of about 35,000 people. So the calls for service back then was about 46,000 calls for service per year. So fast forward, we did the math from 2022, and those calls for service in 2022 are like 56,500 calls for service, and the population has increased. So back then, the ICMA study, and they're the International City County Management Association Center for Public Safety Excellence, said back then we should have had 60 cops. We're nowhere close. So our men and women in uniform are doing way more with less people. And sometimes they get frustrated at me because my philosophy is no call too small. If you call, we'll be there. It might take us a while to get there because we certainly have to prioritize our calls for service. but that's just the reality. Our folks are exhausted because I have minimum standards that I must upkeep. I can't allow my staffing to go down to a certain level because then I'm putting their lives at risk. Then I'm putting the community at risk. Yes, ma'am.
I wonder if there is more support within the police department to, help people with, de-escalation, with, trauma background, to, give them more support to actually go and get the help for those kinds of issues.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The short version of the question is, do we train our police officers in the most state-of-the-art de-escalation tactics? Yes, for themselves and for dealing with the community. The answer to that question is yes. And I think this always surprises the community. For example, we have mobile crisis response with options for Southern Oregon. I think we might have been the first ones to do it in the region. Long before my time, Bill Landis, the former chief, and our current team members, they did that with Carla McCafferty over at Options for Southern Oregon. So if we have a barricaded subject with a person that is in distress, we'll call that team out and they'll work with the crisis negotiations team so we can do everything we possibly can to resolve that incident with the minimal amount of force necessary. And that's including, you might see all the hardware out front, the mobile emergency response vehicle, the armored vehicles, all the SWAT guys. But we don't want to use that. We want to use this, the mouth, so we can help talk you out. Because the reality is the majority of people that we deal with on a barricaded situation, they're not really that bad. Now, they've done some bad things, don't get me wrong, that they have to be held accountable for. But then you flip the script. In January of 2023, we had one of the most horrendous issues with a fella that kidnapped and tortured his girlfriend and then went on a murder spree. And you think, wow, am I reading this out of a book? This is Grants Pass, Oregon. But these are some of the things that we just deal with, and it seems to be happening on more of a frequent level. I have some numbers with me. I think we've hit 5 homicides in 2023. I think per capita, we're higher than Medford and Jackson County, which is, it's pretty gross if you ask me. There's quite a lot happening. Yes, sorry about that. Yes, for the police officers, we have a contract with First Watch Wellness. So we have physical and telehealth options for our men and women. And that's on my dime. That's on our dime. I'm not sure if the council knows this yet, but that's on the council's dime. And it's important because our EAP and the EAP are the additional plans that most insurance give for helping when you're in crisis or you need particular support. I don't want to dog on it, but it's not great. And it's particularly not great for law enforcement. So we went to a specific group with emergency responder therapists to take care of my people. We took it one step further. We worked with a group called Sigma Tactical Wellness, because a lot of police officers, when they hit a certain age, due to stress, have cardiac issues, major heart failures, heart attack, and die. I kind of don't want my guys to die. I don't want anybody to die, but I want to be preventative. So we've now done this twice, and I've done it twice as well, where we get full panels, full workups on the machine, breathing through the tube, measuring everything. And I'm totally destroying what the amazing work that these men and women do. And for the medical profession in here, please don't judge me. I just know we needed it. And when I did it a couple of years ago, I was kind of teetering on the level of, oh, you must be the chief, they said. I'm like, how'd you know? Well, you're stressed out. You're a stress monster. So I had to work on some things and get my calcium count down. And it doesn't matter whether you're a 25-year-old cop or a 52-year-old cop like me. I think it's important that we do that so our guys recognize that, so we can keep them healthy so they can continue to respond to calls for service. But we also teach them how to do the same thing in the field, how to be the best the best officer to de-escalate a situation. Because our use of force incidents are not that high. And because we're really good at talking to people and encouraging people to essentially give up, but we're also big fans on guiding that individual into treatments, guiding that individual into a service. We work with Adapt Integrated Health, and we literally will dispatch recovery mentors from Adapt Integrated Health to all drug overdose scenes. For two reasons, and this is going to sound kind of cold, but we don't have time to deal with all that. And we're not trained to deal with that. But we sure as heck want to get them well and better. So we bring out professionals and they take over, and then we can go on to the next call. It's an amazing partnership. But we also have a case manager, and this is another shout out to Options. She is a case manager from Options, and she works within our department, and she basically works with our community response team to guide, direct, encourage all people that need it into some sort of a service. It could be housing, it could be food insecurities, health, drug and alcohol treatment for substance use disorder issues. So we have a lot built into this really small number of people. And sometimes I wonder how we do it. And, you know, and I mean this with respect. The citizens of Grants Pass get what they pay for and then some. Our folks are pretty amazing. So we do a lot of really great stuff, and they know no different. And for me personally, I don't want to work at an organization where you're okay with second best. I want to work at an organization where I'm busy. I want to work in an organization where my bosses let me to come up with ideas because I'm not limited by my own imagination. And that's what we do. If you have a good idea, bring it forward, we'll give it a go. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. So that's what we try to do. So hopefully that answered your question. How am I doing on time? So far, so good? All right. And let me just flip this over. So the big picture, so you guys all know, we have 56 sworn cops, 18 dispatchers, 7 record specialists, 4.5 community service officers, and then we have a complement of other professional positions that support the big team. Unfortunately, we had to cut a crime analyst. I wasn't allowed to fill a police officer position. I had to cut a CSO. I had to cut a dispatcher. And this is over a few years. We're trying to regain that momentum. And we have positive support from both the council and the city manager moving forward to increase that staffing level to at least 60 police officers. Now we go back to how do you manage an organization, and we talk about FMLAs and people being hurt and all those kind of things too. We also need to get used to overhiring, because in my opinion, to be a successful organization and to develop your men and women appropriately, we have to run at full steam, because if we don't, then we're not doing what I think you all want us to do. And my example of that is something as simple as in 2023, our calls for service came in at, I think, and I haven't validated numbers, like 54,300. So it's a little bit lower than 2022. But that's a very important point. In policing, 40% of a police officer's time should be proactive. He or she should be out there stopping cars, stopping people that are suspicious, and I'm not talking stop and frisk, I'm talking about reasonable suspicion that a crime is afoot, contacting community members, but also being the eyes and ears when you can't be the eyes and ears within the community. And we don't meet that standard. We just don't. Our team members right now are literally call to call to call. So occasionally I will pull up our call log and I call it the board. And like any big game board, it's got everything on there. Domestics, sex assaults, simple assaults, violation of city ordinances, a whole lot of stuff. And sometimes I catch myself looking at that board and going, oh, it's not too bad. There's only 6 on there. And then it clicks. Oh, we've only got 6 on today. And then I hit the pending call screen and it lights up a different color. Harassment's waiting, domestics, other things waiting. And then I get community members saying, Chief, parks are a mess. What are you guys doing? North end of town's a mess. What are you guys doing? And I promise we do get to them, but we don't get to them right away. It sometimes takes a while. For example, we had somebody report the other day at about 8:15 in a couple of the parks, shared some pictures. It wasn't a pretty scene. They were violating city ordinance. It was a mess. We couldn't get out there until about 10-ish, 10 o'clock. Now we fixed it. We have to prioritize what's going on throughout our day. And the reality is that most of the parks violations that you see realistically do not come up high on the threshold of managing resources. And I'll share some numbers with you because it's important. If there's a domestic, we're going to domestic first. If someone just got beat up and assault, we're going to go there first. If someone just got robbed, we're going to go there first. If there's a burglary, we're going to go there first. Or we're just going to manage how things go. Sometimes you might be the victim of a burglary and we might not get your house for 6 hours because we're kind of cleaning up some of the small things too, because we know there's not a whole lot we can do at your house besides get out there and process the scene, get the information and kind of start to build a case from there. But in reality, that can probably wait. My guess is as a citizen, you'd be kind of frustrated to have to wait around your house for 6 hours for a cop to show up to take a burglary report. I would. But that just kind of gives you a bit of an idea. And then I also pulled the numbers, and we post this every month in the city manager's monthly report, the authorized strength versus the actual strength. And I just looked for December, 4 on light duty, 2 off to a recent officer involved shooting, 6 in training, and 3 in pre-employment background. And that doesn't include the officer that walked into my office yesterday and gave me his resignation letter, who I support 100%. So things like this just happen. So managing the Grants Pass Police Department, as much as I love it, sometimes there's a lot to get the men and women out there to do the job they need to do. But my point on the calls for service, we should be averaging 60,000 calls for service a year. And it doesn't mean we're any worse or any better. It means a lot of those additional calls are our officers being more proactive. So I gave you some of those numbers. You might ask yourself, well, 6th and 7th Street looks like a speed racing track. It does, I agree. I walk out of my office and I could have a flag, a checkered flag, and they'd appreciate it if I started waving it. It's kind of funny. Well, they're going to be upset because we're coming out with a plan. This is hot off the presses. My admin team and I are going to go out there. We're going to start doing car stops. I mean, I'm just going to have to find the time because our officers can't do it. And I want to stop a bunch of cars. I'm going to let them know. I'm the chief of police and you're going 80 and a 55. I don't know how to write a ticket. And if I did, I'd write you one. So I'll probably do some things like that. Yes, sir. Yeah, we did a while ago, and the red light thing, it's kind of interesting because, has the city council and the police department ever considered the red dot lights? So the undercover cop waiting at the intersection for you, that goes over really well. A lot of the streets here are ODOT, so getting approval from ODOT was the biggest problem. So, and I go back and forth with that. I think it'd be great, and then I think, I'm not so sure if I like it either.
Well, I'm just kind of concerned mainly because it seems like, I don't think I'm exaggerating, but frequently, if not every day, I experience people literally running red lights. And, so I'm, where's the accident or when is the accident?
Yeah, you're 100% right, and I can't argue that point at all. It's Jim, right? Yeah, I can't argue that point at all. I think that if I were to delve a little bit deeper, I would bet our traffic collisions are up. But the reality is I have to decide, do I stand up a traffic team or do I have my patrol team responding?
I totally get it.
But it's so frustrating to me because we want to give so much more and there's only so much we can do. But I did want to share just some stats. Overall, crime is technically down in Grants Pass. I'll say that. But I look at some of the numbers that might be up as a little bit more important, and I wanted to share those numbers with you all. And I don't want to paint a doom and gloom. I just want to paint some facts. And I just pulled these this morning, and I think they are correct. We lost our crime analyst, so that means that we all have to fend for ourselves. So I've had to fend for myself with these ones. So our homicide rate went up 150%. So it looks like it went from 2 to 5. So working a homicide investigation is a monster. It takes a long time and it takes a lot of people to work that investigation. Our detective division, they're so overwhelmed, it's not even funny. Some other ones that are concerning to me. Let's see here. Forcible rape, it's up 56%. Now those numbers, they sound high. Real life numbers 16 to 25, still way too many. But here's the ones that we see every day, all of us. Aggravated assault went down a little bit. It went from 52 to 43. Ag assaults are real bad ones, like real bad stuff. But then your simple assaults went up a little bit, 153 to 156. But then your intimidations and kind of your all other, and that can include kind of pushing around, bar fights and things like that. That went up 2%, went from 280 to 286. So going up is something we'd rather not have. Shoplifting, oddly enough, went down. And I have to double check that number because I just don't believe it. I'm like, really? I just don't see it. Walmart, we all love Walmart and we all hate Walmart at the same time. Went from, are they really? Goodness. That's an outside conversation. We'll talk about that later. So then we also have, was there a hand up? 3 minutes. All right, I'm getting told to get off the stage. Let's see. No, but on a good note, our motor vehicle theft did go down a little bit. It went from 177 cars to 157 cars. That's a big number. And then, but theft from vehicle, that went up a little bit. It went up 2% from 234 incidents to 239 incidents. And then disorderly conduct, these are ones that you see folks that are just not well, running around in the street, emotionally disturbed, drug psychosis, et cetera, that went up 7% from 214 incidents to 230. Now, here's the one that should be sad. Drunk driving, DUI, went down from 220 to 193, but that's just because we're not out there. That's the only reason that number's gone down. The Jackson County Sheriff recently reported an all-time record number of DUI arrests. It's because the Jackson County Sheriff is fully staffed and he has a really big traffic team. They're doing a fantastic job. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I just wanted to add, you're talking about being on an island. This is a fact that always blows my mind. Jackson County has 11 municipalities. These municipalities have police and fire. Yeah, we have protection and transport. So think about that. I mean, if you do national, and so you can kind of compare what you saw in Jackson County to Josephine County, but that to me says so much about the support that they have, and they are working on it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'll come right to it. Let's finish my thought. Absolutely. And when I was in A-Town, and I enjoyed my time in A-Town, it really taught me a lot. I really appreciate everything I learned there. But there was a lot of head in the sand kind of stuff that I noticed because there was a lot of really bad things happening that nobody wanted to know about. But when a critical incident happened, you're right, Valerie, everybody showed up. Medford, Jackson County Sheriffs, Talon, Phoenix. I mean, you go to a homicide scene, you got 20 detectives show up. Here, everybody's kind of like, I'm not going to answer the phone just yet. Maybe they'll stop calling. Okay. And we get out there, but we have amazing relationships with our Oregon State Police partners and the Oregon State Police investigations team. sometimes this is not right of me to say this, but sometimes I feel like they're my guys and gals because they kick behind and they're always up here working with the team, the Grants Pass Police Department. So yes, sir.
This is we work such great work with our police. We have officers, teams, Mike Miner's on our board, we have a lot of safety trainings. But my question is also regarding the kind of the homeless population. Would it be easier as far as calls, as far as, you know, your time and the officers, if we had a shelter or even a place where they could be getting services instead of located? If right now it seems like these officers are having to go all over town to different parts. And to me, that's a waste of time. And so we're spending millions of thousands of dollars on going, you know, trying to, you know, the officers going to different places to deal with issues. Wouldn't it be easier if if it was a location that was central where we could help, you know, people get the service they need? There's one location where most of the activity took place, but that is for that. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think that would save this time alone?
So I'm going to tiptoe politely around that question because they're still under a federal injunction. But I'm going to go on a little bit. What I think I'm seeing across the United States and Southern Oregon, for what I think you're talking about, it's not going to matter. Bad behavior is bad behavior, period. And ballot measure 110, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't figured it out, it's an absolute disaster. Criminalizing meth and heroin and fentanyl, what were we thinking? Did we really think that people were going to take themselves to a treatment facility? And I'm sorry, this is me getting on my soapbox now, because we see it all the time. Almost 200 overdoses in Grants Pass that we responded to. They're just the ones we know about. I think it's 16 dead. That's atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Yes, ma'am.
Mandate that says a person family or friend can refer somebody to mandated treatment. Is that something that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things being considered. The short session starts, I think, on the 5th. I think Senator Lieber and Senator Koff, I think is how he says his name, they just came out with their proposal for this short session. I don't agree with it. I agree with a lot of it, but I think we need to recriminalize to at least a Class A misdemeanor with diversion opportunities. My understanding is there's a piece that's built into this legislative concept that will, before you can technically arrest the individual, you have to be able to offer a service first. It's going to make things tricky. It really is. And then again, now we've got the legislature considering putting those decisions on police officers, which I don't think is appropriate. I think police officers have enough to do and hard enough job to manage. And we have a lot of nuances within the law. I don't think that should be one of them. We get sued on the regular. It's not uncommon for me to see a tort claim come through the door, or some sort of somebody's upset about something. And we manage them appropriately the way we need to. But I'm super concerned about our community. I'm really concerned about ballot measure 110. I really hope that we see some significant change, because it doesn't matter how you look at it. The majority of people that received a citation for possession of user amounts of meth or fentanyl or heroin are not calling the 1-800 number, and they're not going to get treatment. Some are, I can't minimize that. But what we see, boots on the ground, and I'm getting the get off the stage or else look. Yeah, I'd love to stay behind. And I'm sorry if I went a little bit long. I love my job in this community. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chief Hensman. That was fascinating. I always love learning about our community, warts and all, as they say. It's important that we know understand what's going on here. Okay, we got a couple things left. We have announcements, so please be brief and concise. And then we have Leonora is going to do Sergeant at Arms. So any announcements?
Okay, I have two brief announcements. The first one is a reminder that we're going to have a fireside tonight at Taylor's Brewing at 5:15 for any of our red badgers who want to check that off your blue badge checklist. And then afterward at 5:30, we'll start the fellowship event. To the people who emailed me late last night and said, can I still come? The answer is yes, you can. We'll find seats, or some of us will stand up, but please come if you want to come. The other announcement I have, which is very sad, is to let you all know that a previous club member of ours, Dan Mata, passed away recently. He joined our club in 2022 and he left our club in 2023. He passed away in December and he left behind a wife and 3 kids. There is a GoFundMe account if you want to make a donation there, but I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Okay, this is actually Greg Fish's announcements regarding the Super Bowl pool. So all 100 squares have been filled based on a donation to the Rotary Foundation share. 33 donors contributed $1,900. So we have 20 that received a 23-24 individual E-ray, and get it down to it that the February 1st meeting we'll draw to see which teams gets the horizontal, which team gets the vertical line, and what numbers. And then on the 11th, we're going to have our watch party at the Grants Pass Museum of Art. So bring your family and friends. There'll be door prizes and other things going on. So we'll have some more announcements as we get closer to the big game.
And my announcement is just that I know you're all going to be out partying at the fireside in the event, but there is a public listening center about the police and the situation and funding tonight, and it is on YouTube, and it will be able, you can go back and listen to it later. So have a good time tonight, but please go at some point in time, go back and listen to the forum tonight, which is a listening center talking about what has gotten us to the position where we're at financially and what our different options are. So thank you.
12 cards left for 50-50 draw.
So after the fellowship event at 7 o'clock is the Hearth. We have 6 great storytellers. There's a $5 suggested donation to benefit Growing Together Family Community Center. And the theme is, it's never too late to change your story. So I think it goes very along with what Chief Hensman was talking about. Thank you. Yes, it will. But yes, the link is, if you go to the Hearth Grants Pass website, the link is there, and it didn't work last time, but we're hoping for better times this time. But it should be. That's our plan. Sometimes plans don't happen.
2 things. One, the eyeglass collection. We'll still collect what you have. You brought some eyeglasses in. Thank you for that. But the eyeglasses were handed out to the point in time count to help give rewards to people that came and got counted. And so from your efforts, I stopped counting glasses at 490 pair. And then I collected about 2 or 3 more boxes and bags. So we were probably just shy of 300 pair of glasses. So that's pretty impressive. Your efforts were amazing. Bonnie Kellenberg did a lot to get us in the bookstore and get eyeglasses collected from the bookstore. Probably about 120 or so glasses were handed out during the course of the last couple of days. So the rest will just go to various agencies that deal with people in need and go to them. So thank you very much for that. Quite a lot of glasses. Second announcement, again, we sent out a P-mail about the tree planting along the Hillcrest site. So February 24 is the first Saturday we'll do it. We'll auger holes with a tractor, and then we'll backfill those holes with some fertilizer. We need to do that. It's kind of an odd situation, but we do the fertilizer as fish emulsion fertilizer. We do that a week ahead of time because the possums and raccoons and foxes dig that crap up to think they're going to get a fish, and then we got to put it all back. And the times in the past when I've planted things with the fish emulsion on that day, whatever the hell they are, dig them up, and it's like, God damn it, so you got to let them sit for about a week, and then they realize there's nothing there. And then the second day is March 2nd. So be ready for that as well. Thanks.
I'll keep it brief because we've gone long, and I just found out I was Sergeant at Arms yesterday. But on this day in history, there's some really interesting things I thought you might be amused by. 1971, Charles Manson and his followers were convicted of murder I thought our chief of police would appreciate that. In 1924, we had our very first Winter Olympics. And there was another one here that I thought was super cool. 1980, Paul McCartney is released from a Tokyo jail and deported from Japan. I bet you guys didn't know that, did you? Anyhow, I just wanted to reiterate that tonight we have the Hearth and we also have our Rotary Social. So hope to see everybody there tonight and supporting it. And do we have any happy bucks? Yes. Goodness gracious.
Well, I'm sure that those that, oh boy, that's really close. Anyway, I'm sure those of you that know me know how much I do love and respect and honor our police department and the sheriff's department. That being said, the sheriff's office had their chili cook-off this last Saturday, and I got second place out of 15 chilies.
I have some happy bucks. I went to DMV this morning and it was a pleasant experience. I made an appointment to get my real ID. I made it for 10:30 and I was out of there by 10:40. So make an appointment at DMV if you're going.
I got one happy buck. So I had an electrical issue at one of my rentals that happened from the storm, and I don't know why it happened during the storm, but I was just absolutely dumbfounded what was going on, and took apart a whole bunch of different things in this apartment trying to figure out what was wrong with the electrical. It turned out it was the main breaker was fluctuating, and Brownells came out and figured that out. And so I want to give a shout out to Brownells Electric and say, you know, if you have an issue, please use them. And yes, very much. And not only are they really good at what they do and they're prompt and effective and everything, they also wired up Foundry Village for nearly nothing. So that's pretty amazing. Yeah. Yes. Oh, and Deb's there. You owe me $5 for that, right?
Anybody else?
Okay, I have 5 happy bucks. 34 days on a cruise ship is too long for me because I couldn't cook or bake. That's hard. But I have happy bucks for the Grants Pass City Police because you guys are awesome. Even though I live in the county, no matter what, we all rely on our law enforcement and they are a great group of people.
Here, here.
At the last year, they had the awards for the vocational for the Four-Way Community Foundation. One of the things they did was give away books for Ellendale School. And Kristen and I thought, you know what, it'd be an awesome thing to do for all the schools. So we have 3 books going out to all the schools in the county, service dogs, therapy dogs, and King Charles Spaniels. And the other one I thought that Chief Hensman, this is the 2024 pinup calendar. And there was a school shooting in Lower Michigan. And the student killed several students, and the sheriff's department got 12 King Charles Spaniels as therapy dogs, and they use them in the schools as well as with their officers. And there's a different one for each month. So I thought the chief might want to take a look at that. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Whoa, okay, all right. So I wanted to give a PSA. We talked a little bit about overdosing, and there's an episode of This American Life called The Call. It's number 109. It changed completely my perspective on addiction, drug use, and as a resource for overdose, it's called Never Use Alone. And it's this beautiful program. It's a hotline you call, and it's like not trying to stop you from using, but it makes sure you don't die. And so I highly recommend, if I could give any advice to anyone regarding addiction and overdose, it would be to listen to that podcast. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all that you do for our community. And that's what I have.
Anybody else? No? Well, then I'm gonna hand it, oh, the cards. Pick a card. You want me, why don't you pick a?
You have one or against.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So, anyway.
We'll let you do the honor.
It's gonna be my fault. There you go.
7 of hearts. Woo! All right, Bev.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Just once again, want to welcome David and Amanda to the club. Welcome. And congratulations again to Dick Cohen. And thank you to Chief Hensman for speaking to us. Really appreciate it. And I found a quote that I thought would be in keeping with what you were talking about today. Or it's not a quote, it's a definition. Anyway, it's called the just rule of law. And that is, the law is clear, publicized, and stable, and is applied evenly. It ensures human rights as well as property, contract, and procedural rights. And with that, we're done. Thank you.